fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head Left D, tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your host. Back in our sound room this morning, two guys we like to call TK and Heavy D. We'll talk to them a little bit later in the program. And out in Studio R, of course, it's Covey and Kearns. Always excited to talk to them. Ken, another fun morning on FRL. We are absolutely packed this morning.
We are packed, Craig. You know, we're going to have a great interview today. We're going to talk some track and field this morning with the head coach of one of the top D3 teams in the state of Ohio, Craig, and that's Coach Ann Vogel of the West Liberty-Salem Big Orange track and field team. She's in her 27th season. She may have her most talented group that she's ever had, and she's had some great teams there in the past. So really looking forward to talking to her about tonight's regional track meet and what it's going to take for her Big Orange team to get a lot of qualifiers for this weekend. And then, Craig, we're going to talk briefly on some softball and from a whole bunch of baseball because the Russia Raiders, Craig, are doing very well in the postseason. You know, Craig, they had a big win the other night against a very good Fort Loramie team, won a district championship just yesterday over a very good Newton Indian baseball team. So Coach Kevin Flippo has his Raiders playing super baseball right now at this point in the season. So looking forward to talking about the Wittenberg Regional in Division 4 and maybe also touch base a little bit in Division 3 and see what's going on there.
Yeah, there are lots of local teams still in it, maybe not so much in softball anymore, getting to the regional tournaments, but baseball, like you said, lots going on in baseball, lots of MAC teams still in action. So let's get things started, Ken, talking some baseball. Let's maybe start out with our neighbors there in Division 3, start out with that bracket in the district, and what's going on there on a Thursday morning?
Well, Craig, Versailles is going to have to make the trip back to Springfield tonight. Their game yesterday got postponed. I think it was in the fifth inning, maybe.
Bottom of the fifth, yeah.
And I think right now the Tigers are down in a slugfest. I think it's 10-9. So great game taking place over there. And so that's the main local team left there is the Versailles Tigers, and good luck to them when they head back to Springfield here this evening for another the continuation of that baseball game.
I think the winner of that actually plays the number 4 district game there in Madison. So that's whoever wins that game between Versailles and Dayton Christian is going to get that matchup. But let's talk about Division 4. We're excited about that. The Southwest District. What do we got there, Ken?
Craig, I've heard it before. I've heard people say that it's the league championships. They don't mean anything. It's all about the postseason. You know what? The Russia Raiders are making big noise in the postseason. And But they've had 3 nice tournament wins here, Craig. They knocked off the number 1 team in Ohio, the Fort Loramie Redskins. They took care of them by score 1-0 on a awesome played game there by the Raiders and pitched also by our very own Daniel Kearns. They took on a very good Newton team last night, knocked off the Newton Indians by a score of 3-1 by another great pitching performance by Evan Monyer and a solid defense throughout by the Raiders. Just playing great baseball right now. And, you've got Cincinnati Christian playing Tri-County North. The Raiders will play the winner of that game. And Mechanicsburg, Seven Hills. Mechanicsburg had a huge win last night, actually, which was a continuation of the baseball game the night before with the Lehman Cavaliers.
All right, good stuff, Ken. And for a continuation on the baseball talk, let's go out to Studio R, check in with the guys out there. Of course, the ace pitcher for the Raiders on Monday is sitting out there. And another guy that looks a lot different than he did last week. As a matter of fact, it's kind of there's a big reflection on our monitor there. Is that what happened, Covey?
Well, we were sitting around last Thursday morning after a big win over Riverside. Daniel threw his perfect game, and we knew we played the tough good old Fort Loramie Redskins, and I made a hyperbole joke that I would shave my head if Russia won, which was 99.9% a joke, but when the Raiders pulled off that just awesome game, that awesome win over just a really amazing Fort Laramie team, 1-0. You guys made sure I lived up to my promise, and heck, it's worth it. We're playing in a regional now. You know, I tweeted it out last night. You start 0-7. Now you're playing in a regional in a Sweet 16, and it's just crazy what a job Coach Kevin Flippo is doing over there. And what they did. Great game against Newton last night. Evan Monyer pitched a fantastic game. This just shows you can never give up in sports and where teams can go. When you're 0-7, you could have just been left for dead and been out in the first round of the tournament. But this team's really making a difference now. They got a road. They've got a chance to even go to Akron and for a regional title, which is crazy that we tell anyone that 2 weeks ago that they'd even beat Fort Laramie. That's crazy. Kevin Flippo, 3-0 against Fort Laramie in the tournament. Very impressive. We know the Raiders have struggled with them in basketball, but since Kevin Flippo tenure has done really well in the postseason. I think he's learned a lot under his tenure in Fort Laramie under Bill Sturwald. Being on them 2 state championship teams, I think he's learned a lot, and he's translated that into Russia, specifically that 2017 state team. I learned a lot from him being a player under Kevin Flippo, and he has to be one of the top 3 coaches in the area. Not trying to be biased here, but that's for sure. And you know what? My sidekick pitched a really great game, and I'm proud of that team. Keep it rolling, Raiders.
Yeah, let me ask your sidekick there, Daniel. You're in that dugout, been there all season long, and how do you go from this kind of regular season that you had with a losing record to coming into the tournament now? All of a sudden, it seems like you're peaking at the right time. What specifically happened to have this team playing so well right now?
Well, obviously, everyone knew we kind of got off to a rough start, 0-7. Then we kind of had a players' meeting. We ran into a couple speed bumps early in the season, too. With our team-wise and everything, and we kind of just talked to each other like, you know, this isn't the start that we wanted. League's already out of reach. Let's just focus game by game, getting better individually and as a team. Don't worry about wins and losses. Just work on getting better fundamentally, just building chemistry, working on the little things so that we can be at our best when postseason comes around, because that was our ultimate goal. And finally we started winning games. Finally pitchers got more and more innings, started developing pitches better, making the little things happen in games, getting bunts down, making plays, all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden we had some energy on our team. We finally started winning games. And then Coach talked to us about tournament draw and what the move was. And we said, we're behind whatever you got and whatever you think our best move is. And when we went at Laramie, we're like, well, what do we got to lose? You know, we're a 10-15 team coming into tournament. And if we lose, you know, that's just how it was supposed to go. And it was an amazing win, an amazing feeling being out there on the mound, pitching 9 2/3 of that game with my team behind us. We made phenomenal plays defensively and offensively. We just stayed with it. The more the game went on at a low-scoring game, the more confident we got, because we know that offense is definitely not our highest, our best characteristic, I'd say. So as long as that low-scoring game kept going, it was just more and more in our favor. And I'm shell-shocked to be here and playing next Thursday for a regional title, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Quickly,
just even like just Fort Laramie, that it has to be one of the greatest teams in Shelby County history still, despite not getting out of that sectional. Jared Mittendorf pitched a fantastic game on a bum ankle. It wasn't his push-off ankle, but he still pitched a gem, 8 2/3 innings. So it was a treat to watch him pitch over his 4 years. He's going to go do great things at Huntington University. It was a great interview the other week. So, and congratulations to Coach Sanders on an amazing season.
Shout out to all those seniors. I played against them since I was in 4th grade, and going against those guys, it's been fun competing against them. I know a lot of them well. I even hang out with them sometimes out of sports when I see them, and they're a phenomenal group of guys. Love them, and I wish them the best in their future.
Well, I agree with you there. You know, we've battled that team since about 3rd grade, and I got to admit, guys, we didn't beat them very often, did we, DK?
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, we won when it mattered, I guess.
You're right. We won the big one, the last one. So, but they were a great team, and but fortunately, we can say we're still playing, and best of luck in regionals next week to the Raiders.
You know, Daniel, guys got to be looking around the state, or coaches and fans got to be looking around the state, looking looking at the Russia Raiders, not knowing much about them. Of course, they're not in the state polls as a result of their record, but looking at them thinking, here's a team with a losing record that just won a district championship. And if they do a little bit of their homework, they find out that you're the ace pitcher on the team. But it was another pitcher that did the damage against Newton last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, Evan, he pitched an absolute phenomenal game. There was one run given up in the first inning, but after that, I think he retired 15 straight. He had his stuff going. He was working his fastball away, his changeup had nice movement, and also throwing his curveball. He just kept him off balance all night. They really didn't know how to respond or how to control hit. And I think they got a hit in maybe the 6th inning after controlling 15 straight. He pitched a phenomenal game and phenomenal defense as well. We played. It was a really fun win, and it got us to the regional. Yeah.
And not just Evan, too. There was plays, I know in that Fort Laramie game, plays all over the field, whether it was from the hot corner down there at third base or the catch that Will Sherman made behind the plate, Carter Francis, the outfield, you got a freshman out there in the outfield making diving catches. Mm-hmm. It's just contributions from all over the place. And that's, we've talked to Mike Wiss before on this show about, what it takes to win a state title. And the Minster coach told us, sometimes the stars just have to line up. And that's exactly what they seem to be doing here these last couple games, haven't they?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We've been working all season and the stars just aligned for us, and we're playing our best baseball right now like everyone wants to be when you get into the postseason.
We gave credit to Coach Flippo, which he deserves so much credit, but I also want to give a shout out to all of you seniors who just helped keep this team together. If you seniors would have folded when we were 0-7 or 1-8 or 2-11, I mean, things could have went to heck really quick, but you seniors, you kept it light, you kept it fun. So hats off to the Russia senior group. I don't care if we're 13-16 or 24-2. I mean, you guys are still playing baseball. You've had a great year, and hats off to you guys for keeping this team. You guys showed a lot of character and a lot of class.
Yeah, the Stars certainly lined up this week, that's for sure. And guys, I know there's a lot going on in the MAC as well in baseball. We don't have time to get to that here this morning, but we will talk a little MAC softball. We got just a minute left, and Minster is playing down in that Southwest Regional. Give us an update on that.
Yeah, well, we got the Battle of the M's here at Greenville on Saturday at noon. I know you guys last year went over to the train stop before Bradford Parkway, but it's Minster Mechanicsburg here. Little Ohio Heritage Conference versus Minster, who's trying to make it back for the first time since 2014 when they were state runner-ups. I'm going to go with the Wildcats. Don't know too much about Mechanicsburg, but I hear they have a power pitcher. Jenna Puppelman's going to be leading that Minster attack. Coach Rob Hemmelgarn hopefully gets to state we on our former interview. So good luck to the Wildcats and the Indians Saturday.
All right, guys, great stuff, and thanks for all that. We'll be talking next week on the season finale, hopefully about a little bit more baseball, that's for sure. And we're going to take a short break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk some track and field, including that big interview with West Liberty-Salem coach Ann Vogel.
In the motherland, you were born with heart, raised on pride. This vinegar runs through your bloodline. Oh, bloody bruised and slain. Oh, pride in this name. Well, the skies run deep within this blue, false devised by foolish views. Religious divide among the may create civil war on my friendly land. Oh, hurt and bruised and slain. Oh, pride in this name.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking some baseball and a little bit of softball. Now we're going to talk some track and field, and that brings us to our next guest. She's been an annual interview on this show, Ken, for the past 8 years. Last week at the district track meet, she won a district championship. Her Lady Tigers track and field program actually opened the Southwest Regional Championship last night down in Troy. We welcome to the program now Ann Vogel. Coach, thanks for joining us on Fish Report Live.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, you opened the regional championships last night down in Troy, and that 3,200 relay. Oh my! What a race that was, Coach! It was the fastest I guess I've ever seen outside of the state meet a 3,200 relay event with you actually set a meet record, but you got second place to Minster. So talk about that 3,200 relay team you got, and why have they been so successful this season?
Well, first of all, my hat's off to Minster. I mean, what a great race. I mean, it was down to the wire and exciting, and that team is just so well coached, and it's always fun to compete against them. It definitely raises the bar for us. But as far as our 4x8 team goes, those four girls, obviously there's two sisters on the team, Megan and Grace Adams, and then we have two sophomores, Maddie Bahan and Caitlin Stapleton, and they are just very close-knit. They are together all the time. If we don't have a practice and it's a weekend, we don't have a meet, they're running together. They're doing stuff together. They have their own group chats. I don't know what goes on in cyber world with them, but they're just very close-knit, and I think, they have high expectations of each other. They push each other, and it was just fun to see them compete at that level.
Well, Coach, last week on this show, I might have went a little bit overboard. I said that West Liberty-Salem would easily win a district title and easily win a regional title. And, I liked what you did last week. Fort Laramie gave you a very good challenge. I know the regional championships are going to be a little bit tougher, especially with teams like Minster and Fort Laramie there again. Talk about those two teams, Coach. Why are those two programs in particular so dangerous?
Well, first of all, their experience. I mean, those girls, they grew up watching older girls compete and win regional titles and state titles. I mean, both those teams, they're so well coached. And I think across the board in any sport, in Minster and Fort Laramie, those girls just know how to win. And so they come, they're ready at big meets. And I talk to my girls about it. I go, they come when it's big meets, they know how to step it up and perform, and just they get better with every meet. And so that's something my girls are trying to do, just we keep trying to get better every meet. And, but, hats off to them. And they are, like you said, dangerous is a perfect word for both those teams.
Good morning, Coach Vogel. This is Ken. Glad you made it back safe last night from your bus trip home there in Troy.
That was a little harrowing.
You and I go a long ways back. I think we first met on a junior high cross country meet. I think it was in Greenville, and which was an interesting experience. But we'll let that go. And our daughters became great friends. Lauren and Megan, of course, roommates at Xavier when they ran together. Your team back there 6 or 7 years ago, you had a lot of talent. The Russia Raiders had a lot of talent. How does your team compare this year versus some of your other really good track teams? And do you feel that this is your most talented group of Big Orange runners you've ever had?
I hands down, this is definitely the most talented track team we've ever had at our school. I mean, we've just had so much depth, and we've had some great teams in the past, but this team just they just keep getting better, and they're so young, but they're definitely the best team. I don't want to put them up on a pedestal too much, but they're good.
Coach, you've mentioned a few of the girls that ran the 4x8 for you, but let's talk about some of your other athletes you've got in the running events and also in the field. Who do you have high hopes for tomorrow night at the regional finals and hope to punch their ticket to run the following weekend in Columbus?
Well, first, we'll start off with the pole vault. Lydia Mail, she's vaulted 12 feet this year. She's just improved so much as a vaulter. She worked so hard during the off season. So, we're really hoping. Last year she just missed it, and so we're hoping this year, she gets over it, that hump and makes it. But she's sitting well, and she just executes and does what she's capable of. She should definitely get out. And also with Lydia in the 300 hurdles, she's really been cutting time down. The last 2 weeks she's cut like 2 seconds off, so we're hoping maybe she can get a shot out in that. In the 300s as well. And then Emily Holler, our freshman, first year out for track in the 400 and 200. I mean, she's just a special kid and super competitive, doesn't like to lose, and I think she'll make the 400, definitely make that interesting, and she definitely helps on our relays as well.
Coach, I know your relays are pretty loaded this year. Is it common for somebody with a lot of talent like you've got this year to really load up those 4 relay teams and try to capture 40 points or maybe 34 points or whatever you can get at the regional and the state level to load those relay teams up?
I don't know if it's common or I different teams do different things. I think different teams think, try to get individual points because you're putting one person in to get a fourth of, the points a relay would score. But at West Liberty, the relays are just traditionally really important to the girls. They want to do well. They love that camaraderie that comes with a relay team. And to be honest with you, that's where some of my girls, I don't think some of the girls on the relay maybe wouldn't get out individually, but with the relay and the mix that we have in those, especially the sprint relays, it just gives them an opportunity to get to state. So we're going with it for better or worse and loading our relays and, see where it takes us.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about a hot topic that I see a lot on the chat lines right now, and that's the races of the 100-meter dash and then the 4x200 meter relay, which basically are back-to-back events. For girls that are running this, the 100-meter dash, they've only got like 5 minutes to rest between then and the 4x200 meter relay, and a lot of times it's the same type of a runner. What's your thoughts on that? Do you feel it should be changed? Do you feel they should have a little time out there in there, or what's your thoughts?
Well, I think it would be nice because there's so many, I didn't count, but there were quite a few girls that ran that 100, and one of ours included now, spurt and run the 100 and turn around and run that 4x2. And then you top that off with they get a short break and they have to run live and run the 4x1. So that's a lot for a sprinter, right off the bat. But, it's been that way for years. And I guess the girls and I talked about it, and what I told them, I said, there's a reason why women give birth and not guys, and it's because we can handle stuff like that. So that was my answer to the girls. It's like, this is what it is. We're going for it, and make the best of it.
Well, it's fair for every team. Everybody's in the same boat, right? So
Correct.
It's not like one team's getting a longer rest than the other team.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, Coach, I'd actually like to see that change as well. When you get to that level, it is so important. It's not like it's a quad meet on a Thursday night, and I think it's you should give the girls a little bit more time to rest in between. So that's my opinion on that. And another thing I wanted to comment on, and I don't necessarily need your opinion on this. Maybe you don't want to comment on, but going to Troy last night, I was a little disappointed with the facility there. With I know it looks like maybe they're putting new turf on the infield. It just wasn't very appealing from a fan standpoint to see that dead grass or whatever that was there. I think we got a picture we can bring up on our monitor. And to top it off, they were doing the awards under the bleachers. So as a fan, if you wanted to see awards, you had to go down under the bleachers and watch them and then go back and get to your seat. But, I wasn't real impressed with that. And I know it's probably just a 1-year thing, but gosh, I was hoping for something nicer at that level. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, they did tell us at the coaches' meeting that they were afraid it was going to rain tonight, and that's why they put the award stand underneath.
Okay.
And that Friday it's going to be out front, and I really hope so, because if there's a coach that's giving whoever has the first place, they're giving their medals out, and then you've got a kid running in the next event, I sure as heck don't want to be under the bleachers. I don't want to miss my kids getting the award, but I also don't want to miss my kids that need me while they're competing. So, but the aesthetics of it wasn't great, but it is a well-run meet. I mean, we have some great officials and people in the Southwest District, and so it's, if you get past that, I was the same way. I put up on the bus, and I was like, what the heck is going on? But, so hopefully it'll be a little bit more back to normal on Friday night.
All right. Well, listen, one more question before we let you go, and a little earlier, Ken mentioned your daughter, Megan Vogel, and I think most folks that watch this show remember Megan, not so much for her 1600 state title back in 2012, but more for the sportsmanship she showed a little later that day in the 3200, where she carried a competitor that fell down on the track, carried her across the finish line, and I know our viewers out there a lot of times like to know where are they now, so it's been a little while ago. Can you update us on exactly what Megan's doing these days and how she's doing?
Sure. Megan she graduated from Xavier University, Let's Go X, 2 years ago, and she is now she works for Senator Sherrod Brown in his Cincinnati office. She's still living in Cincinnati, and she's an immigration caseworker. So she does a lot of things with immigration, maybe helping people get visas or people that are working on their citizenship, all sorts of some really uplifting stories and some kind of sad stories. But that's what she's doing right now, working for Senator Sherrod Brown in Cincinnati, and she's also engaged. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, engaged to get married. As long as it's not during track or cross country season, I'll be there.
You'll get there. You just might be late, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, she's getting married August of next year, so I think I'll be good.
Well, listen, Coach, I know you're busy. I really appreciate you getting up early this morning, having a cup of coffee with us, and talking to us about the Big Orange track and field. And wish you the best of luck on Friday night, and also next weekend at the state tournament in Columbus.
Thank you so much, guys. Always fun talking to you.
Absolutely.
Coach.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
All right, that was the head coach of West Liberty-Salem Tigers, or the Big Orange, as we like to call them, as a lot of people like to call them,
yeah.
Ann Vogel. So always fun to talk to her. Again, been a guest on this show for the last 8 years, and always look forward to it. All right, let's head back to the sound room, Ken, and check in with TK and Heavy D. I know a couple excited baseball dads back there. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
All right, TK. Well, not much left in the SCAO anymore. I know you typically give us your SCAO Athlete of the Week. I've got a couple people in mind. I want to know what you're thinking.
It's tough. Anybody that went to Sydney on Monday night and watched that game, you could give there's 20 kids out there you could have given that award to. And
Daniel
Aiden Shappy in the first inning,
Daniel
lays it out on the line and sets the tone for the Raiders. The Lormy kids, Jared Mittendorf, just pitched an excellent game, unbelievable game.
Yep.
And in the end, 9 2/3 inning,
Daniel
125 pitches.
Well, I know who Heavy D
strikeouts.
wants.
I got to go with. I hate everybody's going to think I'm biased, but
eat the humble pie. It's Daniel.
Daniel
right.
Kearns just amazing, unbelievable effort by both squads, but Daniel Kearns just unbelievable.
Well deserved.
Game of a lifetime. It was just a gem to watch.
The
Just
young man has
unbelievable.
worked extremely hard the last couple of years, Tim,
Yep.
and you know that, and you've seen it every day. And Daniel's put the time in the weight room. He's put the time on the mound with coaches and different things. Yeah.
And he's got to get up on Thursday mornings for the show, too.
That's
to top
right.
it all
He does,
off.
yeah.
So.
And he
That's
does
right.
that too,
And it couldn't happen to a more humble, great kid.
Yep.
I kind of feel like he's my son sometimes, and I know Heavy D, you do as
Yep.
well. But great kid, great friend of my son Carter, and couldn't happen to a better kid. He's worked hard for it.
Couldn't be more proud. Love him to death. Just an unbelievable work ethic, and just so happy to see what's happened to him and his efforts, and the whole Rushi team and the whole community. It's just awesome. So good luck to him next Thursday night or Thursday afternoon. So we'll see what happens, man.
Who would have thought they'd be playing at Wittenberg?
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think you
Fun
got a
stuff.
unanimous agreement on that one. TK, Heavy D, let's check out the Fish Report mailbag. And what do you got this week?
It's getting pretty empty, but the general question is who's got the best hair flow for the Raiders?
Well, yeah, Covey's not on the team anymore.
Covey got peeled, and Covey owned up to what he committed to, and Covey got peeled and took it in style, and it'll grow back, Covey. Don't worry about that. Best flow, I'm gonna give it to we got Carter and Daniel got a nice cut in the back. Will's got his flared out pretty good. He's got a complimentary mustache to go with it.
Yeah, he got best or worst mustache, whatever
Yeah,
that award was.
best voted by the Shelby County Athletic League coaches pool. So best flow, hair flow, Will Sherman.
Good stuff back there, guys.
Good call. All right, guys. Thanks for that. And with that, Ken, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here this morning.
Been a great week, Craig.
Good show. And you know what's happening
Yeah.
next week? We have the season finale.
Season finale. Well, I tell you what, I hope I can get some sleep between now and then because honestly, I haven't slept since Monday night. And here we are Thursday. I mean, you know, Monday night was a blur into Tuesday, worked all day Tuesday, traveled Tuesday night, another game on Wednesday, up all night Wednesday. I got to get some sleep.
It's that time of year, you know.
I'm going back home to bed.
It's that time of year. So, all right. Well, again, that's going to wrap it up for us. Do want to say special thanks to our guest, Ann Vogel, for joining us here this morning. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week for the Season 8 finale of Fish Report Live. You won't want to miss that. Until then, have a great rest of the week, everyone.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging